Hello and welcome to the News9 Plus show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. We're going to start by talking about three sensational assassination attempts. Former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe gunned down by an assassin in 2022. And in 2024, this year, Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico mortally wounded by a lone assassin. And of course, the 14th July assassination attempt on President-elect Donald Trump. Now, all of these instances have one thing in common. The high-tech bodyguards failed their protectees. Abe was killed. Donald Trump ducked in time and saved himself. Fico was mortally wounded, but he survived. But fortunately, at the Golden Temple today, former Punjab Deputy Chief Minister Sukhbir Singh Badal had Assistant Sub-Inspector Jasbir Singh by his side. Watch how this alert Punjab police officer lunged at the would-be assassin the minute he drew his weapon to fire at Badal. But the question we're asking today is, how did this armed assassin get into the precinct of Sikhism's holiest shrine? Joining me to discuss this is Major General V.K. Datta and journalist and political analyst Ramneek Singh Mann. And my colleague Deepak Badana continues to be with me in the studio. General Datta, one Punjab policeman saved the day today. Had this ASI Jasbir Singh, this super alert police officer, not reacted the way he did, the headlines would have been completely different tomorrow. Former Punjab Chief Minister assassinated in the Golden Temple, enough to start a new wave of violence in Punjab.
Yes, absolutely, Sandeep. I can say that this was a providential escape. A number of factors actually played in. If you see where Sukhbir Singh Badal is sitting and this person was next to him, had he not been looking where he was looking at that point in time,
yes,
maybe this person who had come to execute Sukhbir Singh Badal would have succeeded.
Absolutely.
It was just a question of those split seconds which saved the life of the target as we see it today.
Right.
And we must compliment the police officer who was responsible there for the security of Sukhbir Singh Badal, the ex-Chief Minister of Punjab.
Yes.
That he did not bother for his own safety.
Yes.
He lunged and caught hold of the hand in which this gentleman was holding the pistol, and the weapons which he actually fired, the bullets went up.
Yes.
They went up. Had not been held, the bullets may have struck the target.
Absolutely. So, and split second reflexes, General Datta. Yes.
Very brave policeman. And
yes.
Amazing work, amazing bravery, which I'm sure that he'll be awarded something for this act. And the only question comes into light now,
yes,
that in the past, if we go into the history of the Golden Temple,
yes,
and the militant movements which took place, weapons were taken into the Golden Temple, yes, and many people thereafter, whether it was during 1984 or subsequently during 1988,
yes,
heavy weapons were taken in.
Right.
So somehow or the other, we
yes,
should have a mechanism that nobody is able to walk in with a weapon on himself, or no weapon should be smuggled into the Golden Temple.
Absolutely. And General Datta, I want to, read this report. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm going to read out this report from newspaper report from June the 3rd, 2023, when, 3 low-intensity blasts went off near the Golden Temple. Now, the SGPC said that at all entry points of the temple, the task force of the SGPC is frisking devotees who enter the temple. Men are going to be checked randomly. And the SGPC has decided to install body and luggage scanners at all entrances. There are 50 high-resolution CCTV cameras being installed. All of this, you had a warning in 2023, and yet in 2024, you have a former Babar Khalsa international terrorist walking around with a weapon where he can freely target, the former Punjab Chief Minister. This is a security breach of the highest order, General Datta.
As a nation and as a state, that is Punjab, because the security and the policing is a state subject.
Yes.
Therefore, it is the Punjab government, whichever is in chair at that point in time, or the current government, should make sure that the security of the Golden Temple and the sanctity is maintained.
Yes.
And no elements which have an idea or an agenda are permitted to enter the holy shrine and
Yes,
carry out any activity which will be detrimental to the entire Panth and to the name of the Khalsa. So
absolutely.
therefore, whatever is required to be done, whether they are scanners or whether they are what you call the metal detectors, which are not intrusive. You know,
Right.
the moment somebody is walking through, if he is
Yes.
carrying something which is giving a signature,
Yes.
only that person to be frisked.
Right.
Otherwise, there will be a free movement of the devotees inside.
Absolutely. You know, Ramneek Man, the SGPC doesn't seem to have a resource crunch. I was just looking at the annual budget of the SGPC is 1,260 crore, and the budget for the Gurdwaras alone is over 994 crore. It's a very well-funded organization. It's got adequate resources. It can easily install door frame detectors of the kind that General Datta was mentioning, and of course have the frisking of all the devotees who visit the temple. How was this allowed to happen?
Well, I don't see it as allowed to happen. When you mentioned the budget SGPC has, let me reiterate that this is the budget on paper,
Right.
which is actually presented. The real figures can be very different.
Right.
And let me also be very clear that there is a lot of misappropriation of funds which happens in the SGPC and in the Gurdwara management. So, I mean, that apart, we're not discussing that today.
Sure.
Well, it is a very, very well-oiled machinery. It is something which has a lot of money,
Yes.
a lot of resources, a lot of manpower, and a lot of influence, whether it is social, political, or religious influence, not just in India, but overseas as well. So that is one reason why that the Akali leadership always wants to have a control over the SGPC. If you look
Right.
at the body today,
Yes.
it has been 12 long years
Yes.
since the last elections of the SGPC happened.
Right.
So when it comes to their answerability to the Sangat or the electorate per se, it is literally zero. So that is how, I look at it. Now, coming to Sukhbir Badal's attempted assassination,
Yes.
it is for the first time in 40 years that gunshots have been heard inside the premises of Darbar Sahib.
Right.
And the last time it happened in 1984 was not a very pleasant incident.
Yes.
And it actually took Punjab into a very, very dark state, a very dark time.
Yes.
Jinu assi Kala Daur kehne, we call it the dark times of Punjab.
Yes.
So had this assassination attempt been successful today,
Yes.
it would have actually caused a lot of turmoil, ripple,
Right.
and effect which would not have been, you can't actually comprehend what could have happened in Punjab.
Yes.
But this Narayan Singh Chaura, he belongs to Dera Baba Nanak, and
Yes.
his village is hardly half a kilometer from the international border.
Yes.
And he is somebody who's recordedly known as a terrorist, as a known bad element, as
Yes.
a gangster, and he has several cases of arms act against him. So somebody who's known to be a part of the terrorist group, the
Yes.
terrorist infrastructure, being from the BKI.
Yes.
Remember, BKI is the same organization
Yes.
which is responsible for the murder of Lala Jagat Narayan, the owner
Yes.
of Punjab Keshari. It's the same organization which has its hands in the twin blasts, one at the airport in Japan, the other the infamous Kanishka bombing.
Kanishka bombing,
And
yes.
it's the same organization which was responsible for the murder of assassination of Sardar Beyan Singh.
Yes.
So this organization itself cannot be taken lightly.
Right.
So this attempt on Sukhbir Badal's life, I believe that it was, had it not been for Guru Ramdas Sahib himself, Guru Hargobind Sahib, the story would have been very different. And again, Punjab Police, I would say, it is utter and complete failure on both the part of police and politics of Punjab. See,
Yes.
Aam Aadmi Party government, we can go on and tell how bad they have been at ruling Punjab. But again, Punjab Police is a force which is known for its, delivery on justice, its delivery on managing or handling
Yes.
law and order situation. But this time, this Jasbir Singh ASI was
Yes.
a part of the personal detail
Yes.
of Sukhbir Singh Badal. He was not from Amritsar Police per se.
Right.
So this is a very sad state of affairs in Punjab, especially when it comes to the policing. I heard Bobby Puller, you know him better as Gurpreet Singh Puller,
Yes.
but anyone associated from Punjab would know Bobby Puller, Amritsar, Commissioner Amritsar. So Bobby, Bobby has a lot of influence in any government that comes or goes
Right.
because of the way he works. But this
Yes.
time, I believe it has been a complete failure,
Right.
and it's very sad to see this sort of a thing again happening. It
Yes.
can actually be the knocking of revival of militancy in Punjab if not controlled now.
Absolutely.
And sadly, there's
Ramneek,
another
I'm
2 years
afraid
for the
we're completely out of time, Ramneek, but, very, very important point there. And see, this incident points to a larger conspiracy to trigger off violence in Punjab 40 years after 1984. And it's all thanks to that very sharp and that very alert Assistant Sub-Inspector Jasbir Singh, who literally lunged with lightning reflexes and saved the former Punjab Chief Minister from certain assassination. And this is something, Deepak, I'm sure, security forces across the world, bodyguard forces would be looking at very closely, where, this one Punjab police officer, through his presence of mind and his lightning reflexes, literally saved the day, not for just Sukhbir Singh Badal and for Punjab, but also for India. I mean, just imagine the headlines which would have been caused even if the former Punjab Chief Minister had been injured. But it's all thanks to that one ASI of the Punjab Police who saved the day. But this is actually worrying because of the ease with which we just discovered this former terrorist who's been walking around one of Sikhism's holiest shrines with a weapon. Despite the fact that the SGPC seems to have promised to install security cameras and frisking and all of that. It's a complete colossal failure of security saved by just that one man on the ground, ASI Jasbir Singh. Thank you for watching. Bangladesh is seeing the resurgence of the ISI-backed Jamaat-e-Islami. The hardline party under its leader Shafiqur Rahman has been accused of orchestrating anti-Hasina movements and fanning anti-India sentiments in Bangladesh. Now, this can be seen in the attacks on Hindus, temples and institutions, including the popular Indian Culture Center in Dhaka. Now, Sheikh Hasina, as the Prime Minister, had banned the Jamaat-e-Islami and directed authorities to treat the JEI as a terror organization. And interestingly, it was Bangladesh's interim government, led by Mohammad Yunus, that withdrew the ban on the country's largest Islamist party. The Jamaat-e-Islami Pakistan in 1971 had collaborated with the Pakistan Army in its mass killings of East Pakistani citizens. It fought against the war of Bangladesh independence. But with Bangladesh now debating on whether to remove secularism and socialism from its constitution, this has raised concerns about the future trajectory of Bangladesh. And with the interim government showing no signs of holding elections and the army unwilling to step in, there is the potential for extremist groups like the Jamaat to exploit the political vacuum. Joining me to discuss this are journalists Subir Bhaumik, Samir Purkaista, and Ambassador Veena Sikri. And in the studio, I have with me Deepak Badana. Ambassador Sikri, we are seeing the resurgence of the Jamaat-e-Islami in Bangladesh, an Islamist party that had ironically collaborated with the Pakistan Army against the fight for liberation in 1971. What does this mean for the minorities in Bangladesh and for India's security in the Northeast?
Well, I think first and foremost, we have to recognize, and I'm glad that you've organized this discussion, we have to recognize that the Jamaat-e-Islami was the single party against the formation of Bangladesh in 1971. As you have said, they collaborated with the Pakistan Jamaat-e-Islami. We must remember that the Jamaat-e-Islami was an organization founded by Maulana Maududi in 1941 in what is today Pakistan, and it had, of course, branches all over the subcontinent. And in 1971, when the people of the then East Pakistan were fighting for their independence, the Jamaat-e-Islami was the biggest collaborator with the West Pakistan government, and they killed for 9 months. They had a genocidal program of attacks on the people of East Pakistan, particularly the intellectuals and the Hindus and other minorities.
Right.
So their target at that time to prevent the formation of Bangladesh was to attack the intellectuals and to attack the minorities. I think we have to remember that today, after seeing this regime change operation in August which forced Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to leave Bangladesh on the 5th of August. We have seen that this effort is now to bring back, to reverse what happened in 1971, to
Yes.
revive the collaboration with Pakistan, and to bring back all the tenets of Jamaat-e-Islami. We have seen that in this interim administration, it is not really an interim government because it is constitutionally not a valid organization at all. So this interim administration or interim regime, they have advisors among them
Yes.
who are members of the Hifazat-e-Islam, who are
Right.
members of Hizb ut-Tahrir. So these are the
Yes.
two most radical Islamist organizations who are dedicated to bringing back Sharia law, bring into Bangladesh, remove the
Right.
constitution, bring a new constitution, and bring Sharia law. And that is why we are seeing the biggest program, again,
Yes.
since 1971, this is the biggest genocidal program on the minorities in Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, Subir Bhaumik, Bangladesh is a country that you've been tracking practically since its birth 53 years ago. And today is, of course, Navy Day. It's one of the key milestone events in that calendar of the 1971 India-Pakistan war. But explain for us how the Jamaat is using this vacuum that Ambassador Sikri mentioned, that you have an interim government that is literally is supposed to be in power, but it seems to be powerless to prevent these attacks on minorities. How is the Jamaat using this political power vacuum in Bangladesh to revive itself?
Well, the biggest irony, Sandeep, is that we have an interim government which has been sworn in with all these advisors, Chief Advisor Yunus and his team of advisors swearing not on the Holy Quran or
Yes.
any religious text, but on the Bangladesh Constitution,
Right.
which does not have any provision for an interim government.
Yes.
Not even a caretaker government, which was there earlier, because that was removed by the 15th Amendment.
Right.
Now, recently, in a petition involving a challenge to the 15th Amendment, the country's chief law officer, the Attorney General Assasination, has said that the word secular should be dropped.
Yes.
So Yunus, despite his great liberal facade, Nobel laureate, which
Yes.
endears him to some people like the Clintons in America, to whose foundation he has liberally donated.
Yes.
So if ultimately Veena Didi will realize, pay girl, as you say in Punjabi.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, this whole team is creating a situation which takes back Bangladesh not only to the days before 1971,
Yes.
the days of Pakistan and Islamist, but towards a new kind of an Islamist dispensation,
Yes.
which is an antithesis, which is an
Right.
exact antithesis to what 71 stood for. So I will tell you, at the political level, the attack is systematically on everything that's connecting to 71.
Yes.
Desecration of statues of Sheikh Mujib,
Absolutely.
attacking the Liberation War Museum, but more dangerously, at the social level, there is a very strong effort
Yes.
to bring into existence an Islamist republic.
Yes.
Today, I've just seen videos sent to me by my friends where some of these Jamaat people and other fundamentalists are going around in their robes
Right.
and announcing that every shop
Yes.
must have a parda system and women should come and stand behind that parda
Right.
before they try to buy things from the shopkeeper. What rubbish.
Yes.
This is happening in a Bengali environment.
Absolutely.
Women have to stand behind the parda.
So this is,
So this is not
it's
just
really
an attack on
alarming.
religious minorities, but
Yes.
an attack on gender rights.
Right, absolutely, it's an attack, and we've seen what happens when Islamists take over in Afghanistan. The kind of, the first people to be targeted are the women. Of course, minorities are fair game for Islamists. But Samir Purkaista, you've also been tracking Bangladesh very closely. Tell us how the Jamaat-e-Islami is using this opportunity, this very, very interesting confluence of events where you have Sheikh Hasina being ousted, who was an enemy of the Jamaat. You have a vacuum, a power vacuum there in Bangladesh right now. India unable to exercise any other options, including the military option. How is the Jamaat using this vacuum to rebuild itself and possibly look at a Islamist government coming to power in Bangladesh?
See, Jamaat is trying to expand its footprint in Bangladesh.
Yes.
Though in India we make a lot of hue and cry about Jamaat's influence in Bangladesh, if you
Yes.
see electorally, Jamaat has never got more than 12% votes in
Right.
any elections in Bangladesh. Way back, its best ever performance was in 1991 when it got to a 12% vote, and that also piggy riding on BNP. So basically, what Jamaat is now trying to do is they say it's the best opportunity
Yes.
to pursue its unfinished agenda of Islamizing Bangladesh.
Right. Pursuing the
So,
unfinished
and
agenda. Yes.
yeah, yes, unfinished agenda of Islamizing Bangladesh, and for that, if you see why Jamaat is unable to, grow electorally in Bangladesh, it's because of its role in the Bangladesh's liberation war.
Right.
And then Bangladesh society as such is
Yes.
not Wahhabis
Yes.
or Salafiyat. So there is a strong influence of Sufism. They play
Yes.
a counter to the Jamaat's
Right.
Islamic identity.
Right.
So here, um, after this mass uprising, a political vacuum has created,
Yes.
and Jamaat says this is an opportunity, and that's why they are also not only targeting minorities, they
Yes.
are also targeting all symbol of liberation war, so that that
Yes.
spirit of liberation war is discredited,
Is
so that
discredited and even extinguished. Thank you, Samir. I'm going to go back to Ambassador Veena Sikri. Deepak, I'll come to you in a minute. But Ambassador Sikri, this point that you made, and you've been making this repeatedly, seems to be an attempt to turn the clock back when the Jamaat takes over and when the BNP, of course, comes to power, is that to kind of mute all the symbols of the 1971 war, where you target the statues and the memorials dedicated to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Is the Jamaat in a position to alter the narrative in Bangladesh? Can it come to power, given the fact that, as our panelists have mentioned, it's never captured more than 12% of the vote share? So how does it actually continue to make an impact in Bangladeshi politics? Will it continue to play this role of targeting minorities, playing a nuisance thing, or will, at the end of the day, Bengali cultural nationalism win the day?
Well, right now, this is the crux of the struggle.
Right.
Because Jamaat-e-Islami, as panelist has very correctly said, has rarely got up to 10% of the vote.
Yes.
Now, they're determined to win a larger percentage of the vote share, and they're doing propaganda and surveys in this direction by eliminating everybody else. Now, you
Yes.
spoke about the BNP. Actually, the Jamaat-e-Islami is trying to eliminate the BNP also.
Right.
And they're trying to make sure that they are the ones who are solely in power. And
Yes.
the ones who pushed the regime change operation
Yes.
also pushed the Jamaat-e-Islami into power.
Yes.
At the expense of the BNP, their hitherto, their erstwhile alliance partner during 2001, 2006. But they, at the cost of the BNP, the Jamaat is now solely in control. So they're doing their best to delay elections, to talk about reforms. Actually, they have no constitutional mandate for reforms at all.
Yes.
Constitutional reform, election reform, financial reform, this can be done by an elected government.
Right.
And the role of an interim administration, even when it was there in the constitution, was just to exist for 90 days to
Yes.
organize elections and to maintain law and order. Now, this government is unable to maintain law and order.
Right.
Muhammad Yunus is just a puppet. He's not in
Yes.
control at all. He's doing just what the Islam is telling him to do. The
Right.
advisors in the government, except for these two, the Hifazat Islam and the Hizb ut-Tahrir, they really have no say. I don't see even any meaningful orders or decisions being passed by them. So the
Yes.
idea is hit on the minorities. They're wanting to push the minorities out. When the Buddhists were attacked in Khagrachari
Yes.
in the month of September, this is what they were told, and the army was with the Jamaat-e-Islami in trying to attack the Buddhists and telling them leave the country, leave the
Right,
country.
right.
Even the Hindus, they were told this right from the 5th of August. Even when their lands were taken away, they were said, okay, here's the money, leave the country. But
Right.
the younger generation among the Hindus and other minorities said, no, we are not leaving. We are staying. This is our country.
Yes.
We are its citizens. We want our rights. And in fact, the Hindu community led by Chinmoy Krishan Das, who has made this Bangladesh Samiliti Jagran, Sanatani Jagran Jot. He has
Yes.
made an 8-point demand for the interim administration, asking for, a law for the protection of minorities, a ministry for the protection of minorities, that all those who have attacked the minorities should be arrested, should be tried, and judicial justice should be given to the Hindu community. All these very simple demands are there, but
Yes.
the administration, ostensibly led by Professor Mohammed Yunus, we know he's not in charge.
Yes.
They instead of attacking those who are destroying law and order by attacking the Hindus, they've attacked Chinmoy Krishan Das himself and
Right.
put him in jail. And when he appeared in court for the first time and his supporters went to meet him, those supporters were attacked. In
Yes.
fact, Chinmoy Das's lawyers have been attacked so brutally that they're now fighting for their lives in ICU.
Yes.
And court in Bangladesh yesterday, there was no lawyer to defend Chinmoy Krishan Das because all the Hindu lawyers have been charged and they are unable to appear. So instead of saying that yes, it's the duty of the state to provide a lawyer for Chinmoy Das, any judge, all the judges now are not the ones who were there earlier.
Right.
The earlier ones have been forced out of their job.
Yes.
They've been grabbed and told to resign, and these are all appointees. And this judge yesterday has imprisoned Chinmoy Krishan Das for 1 more month, a
Yes.
completely illegal incarceration, and no rights of legal defense being given to him.
Absolutely.
This is a travesty of the Bangladesh judicial and criminal penal codes, and this is what is happening.
It's
So the
exactly,
effort-
Ambassador Sekri. Yes, it's alarming indeed. I mean, who is in charge really in Bangladesh? And the violence in Bangladesh is having its echoes here in India, where there's a substantial community of Bangladeshi students. Deepak, you've been talking to a couple of those students. How frightened are they of what's going on back home?
I mean, these children, and they are children, they're just 19 to 20-year-olds, they don't know.
Bangladeshi students studying here in
So there are
India.
approximately 12,000 students in India of Bangladeshi origin. Out of them, 5,000 odd students are ones on scholarships, right? And the other 7,000 are self-supporting students. Of the 5,000, most of them, or at least 50% of them, belong to Bangladesh's minorities. But then
Yes.
you also have a sizable portion of people from the majority. Now the thing is that one would imagine the minorities being afraid.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, with the mob violence in Bangladesh,
Yes.
everybody who is tied to 1971 by ideology, by blood,
Right.
is fair game.
Yes.
So a lot of these people belong to, say, the middle class.
Right.
People, who have somehow sent their children abroad to study.
Yes.
I just spoke yesterday to a student whose home was burned down 3 days ago.
Right.
His father has gone into hiding. His mother is hiding again with some relatives. The fear is that they'll reach their village in rural Bangladesh,
Yes.
and no visas are available for
Right.
them.
And this is a Muslim student.
This is a
Deepak.
Muslim student
Right.
from the majority, a Sunni
Yes.
Bangladeshi student.
Right.
Right. Then there's another thing. So Bangladesh has imposed a curfew, or a sort of, say, Bangladeshi banks have
Yes.
been instructed not to allow any money to be sent outside the country.
Right. That's making life difficult for the students.
Yeah.
And of
They're
course,
completely cut off from
they're
their families.
completely cut off from their family, and in fact, that seems to be the plight of many of the minorities, and of course, ordinary Bangladeshis who want nothing better than to lead a normal life. But that seems to be, increasingly difficult as organizations like the Jamaat Islami that we just spoke of run the show in Bangladesh several months after Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has been ousted from the country. But that's a story we've been tracking on from literally the day Sheikh Hasina was ousted by this mysterious coup and this regime change operation that took place in Bangladesh, and has brought out this Islamist winter that we're all very worried about in India's backyard. But thank you very much for joining us, Ambassador Sikri, Subir Bhaumik, and Samir Purkasta on this discussion on the Jamaat taking center stage in Bangladesh. From Bangladesh to Bangladeshis in India, you just heard it from Deepak. India has 12,000 Bangladeshi students in India. The Delhi University alone has about 160 Bangladeshi students. These students are worried about the situation in their country, the well-being of their families and their businesses. Some have been suddenly burdened by finances. The unrest in Bangladesh has made it difficult for their families to send them money. Deepak Badana spoke to a member of the Bangladeshi Students' League who, for security's sake, refused to show his face. This is what he had to say about the political turmoil, the attack on the minorities, and his own story in Delhi.
they are burning Indian flags, they are killing a lot of people, they are killing in masses, they can kill my parents. That's the issue. My parents have suggested me not to speak a single word. My parents just suggested me to, if I feel unsafe, I should come back. But still I can't go back. If I go back, they won't give me any job. Because I'm studying from India, they will say I'm a raw agent. See, this is happening. So the BNP is saying that Yunus is trying to do -2. Means they have minus Bangladesh Awami League, and now they're trying to do -2 Bangladesh Nationalist Party BNP. So who is controlling? You can see in the current advisory committee, there is some people who has been, you can say, recommended by Jamaat Islam. But I don't think, or the news I have got from my father, or I am seeing on the media, I don't think neither Jamaat Islam is in power, or they are doing this, they are running the government, neither the students, because the students are still protesting. You have seen yesterday also, 2-3 days ago, they are fighting for their rights. They're still fighting. So that is not a student, they are running the government. They are just a face. What Yunus is saying, other advisors is not listening. You can see Yunus is saying we are free. If Awami League is doing the change, we will let them do the politics in Bangladesh. But other advisor like Mahfuz Alam, who is said to be the meticulously designed person who has done this whole design, Yunus said to that UN, he was in there, and he said no, he won't let do politics. He won't let do Awami League politics. That is the issue. So who is running? Is it Mahfuz Alam running? You don't know his name maybe, but he is one of the advisor, and previously he used to be the secretary of Yunus when he was not an advisor, but he was an advisor, and he is said to be the person who designed the whole thing, the protest. And so minorities will give vote to Awami League. That's the issue. Another part, minorities are understanding what is going on, and they are trying. See, you can, I previously said they are coming to the field, they are taking the children to the mosque, but minorities are not going. They will not go to the mosque, so they can't brainwash them. So minorities are understanding what is going on. That's why they are protesting. So after the protest, I can say the minorities who are the part of Bangladesh Awami League, they have been tortured at first, at a very bad level. I can't even show you the pictures. I can't even show the camera the picture. I can show you the thing. They have been tortured. They have been raped. They have a lot of things happened. You can also search on Google. You can search on the media. But after that, what minorities came in protest few days ago, that Chinmoy was heading that protest, one of the faces of that protest. Minorities came in protest because they understood they are now in danger. So after that, this violence is going against the minorities. They want to ban ISKCON. See, as a citizen of Bangladesh, I can see if they can arrest Chinmoy, they can arrest anyone. It's a message to everyone, every minority. If you go against us, we'll arrest you, everyone. We'll kill everyone. So for me, I'm not a minority, but still, I am afraid. If they can arrest Chinmoy, they can arrest anyone.
Syria was torn apart by a civil war between 2011 and 2020. And then the fighting froze in 2020. On the 27th of November, just last week, fighting has resumed, with Syrian rebels advancing into territories held by President Bashar al-Assad's forces. But why is Syria in flames once again? Joining me to discuss this are General Sanjay Meston, Syrian-born journalist Dr. Wael Awad, and my colleague Deepak Badana stays on with me in the studio. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus show. Dr. Awad, I want to start by asking you this. Since you've been monitoring the war in your home country very closely, what's going on there right now? Why did this war start all of a sudden after a 4-year gap? And what is the state of the government forces right now?
Oh, thank you very much, Sandeep. The issue here is very clear that it is part of the American project in the region, Clean and Break, 1995, changing regime by force, 2011, after the Arab Spring started in the Arab world. Syria was also, the people of Syria wanted a change, they want the political reforms, and we all understand their demand, and then suddenly hijacked by the terrorist organization Daesh and Al-Qaeda, which are two terrorist organizations, has been recognized by the United Nations, actually. And then we realized that the ambition of the de facto Khalifa Erdogan continued in the eyeing Syria and also Iraq. So we know that he's eyeing Mosul, he's eyeing Aleppo, he's eyeing Idlib. northern part of Syria for years, and even he funded a state-sponsored terrorism. We all know the infrastructure of Turkey turned out to be Pakistan in the making. During the 2011, we had 137,000 terrorists from 83 countries. So all these terrorist organizations continue to be active in Syria. In fact, even till they reached to the agreement when the Syrian government defeated them and they liberated Aleppo and most part of the northern Syria till Idlib, the northeastern part were still under the Turkish occupation. And after that, Turkey gave custody to more than 55,000 terrorists, and they are all 31 jihadists, Takfiri, Al-Qaeda, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. All these are terrorist organizations affiliated to first to Daesh, then to Al-Qaeda. Then they changed their clothes to make look more modern, trim their beard, and to make them called that they are the modern Syrian rebels. We don't have rebels, we don't have a civil war. We have Uzbek, we have Uyghur, we have Turk, we have Tajik. All of them are fighting in Syria for no reason but to destabilize, because Israel failed in Gaza, failed in Lebanon, and Netanyahu sent a stern warning to Syrian president 26 November, and he met his intelligence, met in Turkey with the Turkish intelligence, and they launched on the 29th on Aleppo with the sleeping cell and with 30,000 armed terrorists who have moved out of Idlib with all the guns, with all the ammunition, with the drones, with the maps. And we all know that this is a terrorist activity, nothing to do with the Syrian war or a civil war.
General Meston joins us now. He's been posted in the region for several years. General Meston, tell us why this conflict now in Syria. Is it because President Assad's key allies, the Russian Federation and Iran, are involved in wars of their own and therefore they can't step in and support him, which seems to be this vacuum that's been caused, and all of these armies that Dr. Awad just mentioned have stepped into this vacuum?
Yeah, absolutely, Sandeep. There are various perspectives to the Syrian crisis. I think to start with, I would put it in a very different way. I think it is the first and foremost aspect any nation wants is good governance. And I think that is the start point, the governance. Now, the Ba'athist party has been in rule since last 54 years. Earlier, his father was there, and now he himself has been there for 24 years. So there has been continuous, and it's a more kind of a police kind of a state or an autocratic state. Therefore, in any system, when there is continuous governance and where repressive means are used, obviously there are calls for democracy, and I think there were a large number of calls for democratic movement. And therefore 2011 happened, and why it happened, that's a separate debate. But the fact of the matter is the start point is the governance. Because of that, when the Syrian crisis happened in 2011, many state and non-state actors and so-called rebels came into the fray, and as highlighted by the predecessor also, large number of them today are there. And now if I put it more bluntly, this area of Syria is a battle of influence, or the sphere of influence between the West, and obviously Israel is part of them, and between the autocratic and other kind of states, which includes Russia, Iran, and so forth. Now, this is a battle of influence, or the sphere of influence, which has been going on. Now, each side is claiming the other as a terrorist group. So I would put it, let's put it in two ways. One is the regime, the government regime, and the other is the opposition, now which has been called as rebels and strongholds. And because of that, also the ISI was created, then ISIL was created, and thereafter various other factions from them emerged, and of course the Kurdish rebels are there. So large number of factions are there today fighting for areas of influence, and basic intent being it is a larger battle between the West, the liberal or the democratic forces, and on the other side it is autocratic and the dictatorial kind of rulers. Now, this is becoming a global phenomena. In fact, either side feels threatened. The autocratic rulers feel threatened. Look at Georgia, what is happening. The liberalism and democratic should not move close by. Look at South Korea. He felt sure, so therefore he announced the martial law. So this is a global trend happening, and each side feels threatened. So this is the large picture.
Absolutely. It's a global trend, and Syria seems to be the proxy battleground. As you can see, this country of Syria, one of the largest countries in West Asia, is now literally torn apart by various groups from the HTS to Turkish-supported rebels to Syrian Arab army forces, insurgent forces. I mean, it's hard to make sense of Syria, whether it's still a functional country anymore. The kind of proxy wars that are being fought here since 2011. Dr. Awad, what is the future of Syria going to be like? Is this going to continue the way it is? One side, like this, a ping pong ball match, every few years there's going to be a lull and then there'll be a resurgence in fighting, which is what a lot of people tend to call frozen conflicts, which then, are unfrozen, there's fighting, and then they go back to the freezer again. Can Syria ever exist as a united country as it was pre-2011?
Well, I think, Sandeep, I will look into the issues from 10,000 of years. Syria survived 10,000 years of civilization. We can survive any sort of atrocities imposed on us. But I would agree with the general what he said, except for the point that it's a democratic forces against autocratic regime. Let me tell you about the autocracy of our Syrian government. The Syrian government have given a free education compulsory for the children. Even if you have a child between the age 5 to 7, you don't send him to school. Till date, you will be sent, both the parents will go to jail.
Yes.
This is one. Free medication, subsidized food, everything security was given. Prior to 2011, the Syrian was very much, they have no debt to IMF, no debt to World Bank. We have self-reliance, we were totally independent, and we are part of the geopolitical issues. Yes, I agree. But when you have some neighbor, like who is Turkey, are already eyeing your cities and already teaching with their syllabus, the Turkish syllabus in Idlib, and their money, everything is Turkish. And now the flag of Turkey is flying over the castle of Aleppo. It's exactly, you will understand that this NATO stooge is trying to break up Syria, and breaking up Syria under the pretext of the Kurdish forces liberation, which the Americans support, by the way, in the northern western part, where still they are having, according to UN agencies, and we said it in your channel some time back, more than 55,000 Daesh terrorists. They sent 10,000 of them to Afghanistan. So let us look from the terrorism that they have been using it as a tool to achieve their political objective, those democratic states, which we call them democratic. If that is the democracy, I don't want this democracy. I want security. I want my children to be safe in my hometown. I want them to live happily. And we will aspire to have a good governance in Syria, to change. But when you have these Salafist, this Takfiri, these extreme medieval age forces coming to destroy my country, no, I do not want them. I am ready to fight against them with tooth and my fingers, not to let them touch my country or touch one of my country people. That is what I'm saying. America is playing the spoil in the region. America using its proxy Israel to destroy, to destabilize Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and they wanted a greater Israel. We know that. Biden is also having illegal 14 military bases in Syria, illegally occupying Syrian territories to block the passage from Iran to Iraq to Syria to Lebanon, because that is what to safeguard Israel's interest. One. The second part is Trump, when he was prior to his election, he was saying he wanted to pull the American troops from the region. When he was saying like this, then this war started on Syria, because of the failure in Lebanon and in Gaza. Why? Because there, when you revive terrorism, there is a legitimacy for the U.S. troop to stay back. And that is one. Ukraine war, in the similar fashion he's doing. What he did by allowing the ballistic missile to attack deep in Russia is exactly to make it more complicated for Trump to pull or to stop the war.
Right, absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Awad. Wheels within wheels in Syria, and that war cannot be seen, by itself. It's a proxy war, and it's being fought by major powers there. Some who, as our panelists have mentioned, want to rebuild their empires, and this is the unhappy situation that we're witnessing in Syria. And unfortunately, Deepak, and this is what we've seen in 2014, that this vacuum was occupied by ISIS, the guerrilla, a terrorist organization that controlled the maximum number of territory, and it actually administered a country that it had bitten off from Iraq and Syria. And of course, that situation cannot be come to pass again, where you have a terrorist organization like ISIS controlling territory like it did once in the past. But unfortunately, we're completely out of time on this segment. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Sanjay Meston, Dr. Wael Awad, on Syria, this burning crisis in this proxy war battleground that this once prosperous West Asian country seems to have become.